It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of March 28th, 1997. We got 6 movies to look at today, so let's just go ahead and jump on into it. We'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, the action thriller The Devil's Own, starring Harrison Ford and Brad Pitt.
Much, but it's dry and it's warm. Hey, fixed for work.
Start tomorrow.
Good.
Very decent of you to put me up like this.
Don't worry. Welcome to America.
So, don't you think it's lovely here?
We're from Belfast.
Aye.
He was welcomed into their family.
Mom said dinner's ready.
That's a lovely dress you have on there.
Are you married?
And trusted as a friend. But something in his past
Do you ever feel guilty about it?
has brought the danger home.
Get out!
You stay where you are, man.
Who are you? Did you bring this into my house?
I need that money, Tom.
What's all that money for that you hid in my basement?
The only thing I can think of is guns, like the one my wife had jammed in her face.
Francis McGuire, a.k.a. Frankie the Angel.
I have been given the authority to use any means necessary to bring closure to this issue.
You're gonna kill him. I understand why he's doing what he's doing. If I was 8 years old and saw my father gunned down in front of my family.
You're on your own here, laddie.
I love him. You love him too, don't you? There is no way out for him. He's gonna die if you and I don't do something.
I don't really see where the title The Devil's Own comes into play here, because it literally does not come into play in this movie whatsoever. You basically have Brad Pitt, who's a member of this provisional Irish Republican Army, who comes to the United States to obtain black market anti-aircraft missiles to shoot down British helicopters in Northern Ireland. And the plan is complicated by this policeman, played by Harrison Ford, whom the IRA member has come to regard as family. So, I mean, I might be missing something here, but I don't see where the title The Devil's Own comes into play here. But as far as the movie itself goes, it's pretty mediocre. I mean, it's a bland action thriller. I think Harrison Ford and Brad Pitt really are the best parts of this movie. This is directed by Alan J. Pakula, which actually will be his last film because he passed away the next year. And then Gordon Willis, the longtime cinematographer for many Woody Allen films and Pakula films, as well as the Godfather trilogy. He would retire soon after this movie came out, so it was the last movie that he ever shot. And as far as the film itself goes, it's pretty forgettable. I mean, it's got a good cast to it. Besides Ford and Pitt, you got Ruben Blades, Natasha McElhone, Julia Stiles, and also you see Treat Williams in there. By the way, rest in peace, Treat Williams. He passed away earlier this week. And yeah, as far as the movie itself goes, it's pretty forgettable. It's a film that I think really has more of the enjoyment factor in the performances by Ford and Pitt themselves, but other than that, though, it's a pretty bland movie. There's no real big twist in there. I mean, they kind of tell you what the twist is in that trailer there, but yeah, as far as everything else goes, it's a pretty bland thriller. There's nothing too exciting about it, nothing too engaging about it. It's a pretty mediocre film that only gets by because of the two leads really working off each other. I think Brad Pitt slowly but surely continues to prove that, hey, I'm not just the flavor of the week. I can prove to be a really good actor. And once again, this is another film that really shows his ability to evolve as an actor, and that we will eventually see later on down the road. But like I said, not a great movie, but not a bad film either. Just kind of a mixed bag film that mostly works because of Ford and Pitt. Other than that, though, it's a pretty largely forgettable film. So that is The Devil's Own. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is Marlon Wayans and Kadeem Hardison in The Sixth Man.
Kenny Tyler on the dish to Brother Anton.
when the Washington Huskies lost their star player.
Yeah, baby!
They thought their dream of a championship died with him. But Anton Tyler is coming back to give his team a ghost of a chance.
What's up with you, man? It's Anton. He's back, and he's right here. See? Look at him, guys. He's back. Look at him. You need some serious help. Wait, I'm gonna prove it to you. Just throw it in. I'm gonna do all the rest.
Tyler, the chest pass loops up to the basket. It goes in.
That happens on this planet all the time.
The UW Huskies, the march on to the Great Eight.
Keep this girl at a distance, man.
What was that?
It's freaky.
For anyone who loves the game
Get your thumb out of my eye.
and everyone who refuses to sit on the sidelines. Touchstone Pictures presents
Hey, what you doing? You can't catch no fish here. Get on my nerves.
Marlon Wayans
I'll smoke you back. Don't mess with a dead man.
and Kadeem Hardison.
I love you more than anything in this world. But you gotta stop popping up all the time and wanting to play.
The Sixth Man.
You know something?
Hey,
I have the same problem.
trust me, my problems are a lot bigger than yours.
I think that trailer kind of perfectly sums up all the good stuff about this movie and a lot of the bad stuff that's about this movie. I mean, the premise has a lot of potential to work with here. You got the idea of this dead basketball player coming back to life to help this college basketball team, which, I mean, if you think Marlon Wayans and Kadeem Hardison are college basketball players at this point, I mean, that's a little bit too far-fetched, but they basically have to become champions, and with Marlon Wayans, you got a potential for a PG-13 Angels in the Outfield type of scenario, but the movie kind of goes down as much as you think it would. It's a paint-by-the-numbers underdog sports movie with the typical storyline, typical plot twist, typical attempts at comedy you would expect from this premise. And it's kind of a lackluster effort. I mean, you see the bits of comedy they set up here, and it's going to go to the same routes that you expect on nearly every level. There's not a whole lot of creativity there whatsoever. But then again, there are times when there are legitimately funny moments splattered around the film. They don't really happen a lot in this movie. They don't leave too much of an impact to make it stand out on its own, but I would say there's a good laugh about once, maybe every 25 to 30 minutes, and there's a ton of voids where the jokes just fall flat and just don't work. You also don't really get invested in these characters, honestly. You're trying to build this kind of this brotherly relationship between Kadeem Hardison and Marlon Wayans, a teammate relationship too. But they never give you enough time to build that relationship and why these two are so connected throughout the film. Like, why is Marlon Wayans' character the only one that can see Hardison? You can make the argument so Wayans can scream at the top of his lungs, and he usually does that. The two commercials are only centered around him screaming like crazy, and they don't even try to hide it. Like, the movie could have had potential to be something really funny and really creative and really clever, but it never delivers on that promises. Sometimes you'll get a good laugh here or there, but it's never enough to warrant a full recommendation. This is one of those lesser comedies you would see in the middle of one of those Milk Creek triple feature DVD sets where it just so happens I have a triple feature set that includes this, Eddie, and Celtic Pride. And solely to those three basketball comedies on one box set, it's probably the lesser of the three films, but it's a mediocre movie on so many levels. But you get kind of the idea here. It's one of those movies that comes and goes. It's funny how there's three basketball movies that came out by Disney between 96 and 97 in this 1 month period, and most of them are pretty forgettable. I think the best one out of the three was Celtic Pride, and even then, it wasn't really saying a whole lot. But as far as this film goes, it's another mediocre film. Nothing too crazy, nothing too exciting. It's there, so with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the next movie, and that is Turbo, a Power Rangers movie.
It's time to power up. The world's most famous action force is back on the big screen. With a secret weapon.
I'm the new Blue Ranger.
What are you talking about?
A giant grappler loop. And a whole new way
Wind Chaser ready to howl.
This is awesome.
to thrill.
Let's rip some velocity.
All right.
Turbo action.
Good thing you don't need a license to drive Zord.
Turbo power. Turbo
A movie so bad that it only has a 1-minute trailer and that's it. This isn't a commercial that you see on TV. No, no, no. This is on the big screen. This is the only trailer that's available out there. There may have been another one, but not that I've seen. I mean, remember the build-up and the excitement they had for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, how they built it up to be this big movie event, and is the fact that this is the only major trailer that they had for this, and it just shows some exciting action sequences in concept, but botched in the actual film. Yeah, this movie makes the first Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie look like Citizen Kane by comparison. I mean, this is past the point when I stopped caring about Power Rangers. I said in the review for Power Rangers, the movie, I stuck with the original series, and then that was kind of it for me. So I never saw that movie in its entirety. This movie in its entirety, I should say. And though thought the first Power Rangers movie was as stupid as you can get, well, luckily they made a sequel that's even more stupider and more ridiculous. I'm not even kidding. This movie feels like the first movie was at least somewhat of a guilty pleasure movie. It had redeemable qualities to it with the old school soundtrack they were using in the action, but this movie, good lord, it's like they took the budget from Power Rangers the movie, cut it in half, then cut the budget of the TV show in half just for the hell of it, and then made this movie, and that's how bad you know this movie is. The first warning sign right away, the little kid in the movie is your typical annoying-ass little kid and just wants to hang out with the rest of the gang. And in this movie, they just make him the new Blue Ranger. And when he says, guys, I'm the new Blue Ranger, that's when you know the movie is so screwed. Because not only does this kid have to show up in a lot in this movie, but he'll be seen more in the TV series that followed. And let's just say it's a good thing I stopped at the original series. Plus, this kid is really small. How the hell are you supposed to make him the same size as everybody else in the Rangers uniform? It's so... like, this is some of the problems with it. This is one of the biggest problems with the movie. Second of all, the special effects look terrible. Zordon looks horrible in this movie. Like, Zordon actually looked good in the first movie. You can tell that they put the budget into that. And in this movie, it's like they took a paper mache and put him in this little pedestal, and it's so terrible. It's like, what am I even looking at here? Like, it looks like Zordon was jumbled up into a piece of paper and then thrown on the big screen. I mean, it looks horrible. It's even worse that the voice actor doesn't even sound like he knows what the hell's going on. And, in fact, a good majority of the actors on screen all look like they don't know what they're doing here, and only in this because it's a Power Rangers movie, because it's going to be a hit. And, yeah, I should probably tell you that this thing only brought in $9 million worldwide. So, yeah, not a big hit. Not a big hit per se, but, on top of that, the story makes no sense. They literally bring back Kimberly and Rocky from the Power Rangers from the first series for no reason except to be fan service, and not even good fan service. I mean, what even do I need to say about this movie that hasn't already been said already? It's nothing redeemable at all. The script is terrible, the acting is terrible, the action is terrible, the visual effects are terrible. It's just a horrendous mess of a movie. If you really are that needy to see a Power Rangers movie, just go watch the first movie again. Or, you know what, go watch the 2017 one. It's much better, but, I mean, avoid this movie like the plague, man. This is a horrible, horrible movie. So, so that's Turbo Power Rangers movie, and, let's go ahead and take a look at the next movie, and that is Robert Townsend's Baps.
Girl, we need to move on, and we need to get us some new jobs.
Listen, y'all, I got the inside scoop on the biggest video edition to hit the airwaves, the video dance girl of the world.
It's a sign from God. Me see you bugging. There's only one way we gonna find out. Let's go to L.A. You might want to go on home now, because I'm here. That's my girl. Okay.
My boss is doing a music video. I thought you'd be perfect for it.
How many C notes we talking here?
$10,000.
Where he at?
New Mind Cinema presents
Living large and taking charge, big boy.
How did you get past security? A movie about two friends. Follow me. On the way up.
Lead the way, Alfred.
Who's Alfred?
You know, Batman's homeboy.
To the back, Kurt. To the back,
Got you.
My uncle is a very sick man.
That's sad.
I'm not making a music video. This job involves an old man to make sure that his days are filled with kindness and love.
I ain't giving up no booty.
No. Now, they're gonna show the other half.
They don't pay crazy cash for this. She look like Lakeisha Jenkins with a bad hair weave.
How to live.
I know you like golf and stuff, but you really need to be watching BET.
Good morning, everybody. Don't forget my Ice Cube CD, Manly.
A 2-pack, too short, the dog pound, and pull up to the bumper, baby.
You got that Mac 10, baby? Yeah. West Sony. What you know about that Luke Skywalker, huh? Get it.
Hey, why they got got a choice in everything.
What say we go on a shopping spree?
Today must be my lucky day.
This spring,
Oh, it's so cool you down with us.
give it up
You need to scoot over, because I ain't got no problem sleeping on this expensive white carpet, because I know it's poodle hair.
for the ladies in the house.
Now then, who could be calling at this time?
It's my boyfriend.
He says you're tripping because you're in Hollywood, and he hopes you don't get played.
Babs.
Tell him he better hope his mama don't get played.
Hello, sir. She hopes your mama don't get played.
Okay. Well, that was a lot to take in. Of course, BAPS in this case stands for Black American Princesses. They, of course, being played by Halle Berry and Natalie Dessely. And then you have Martin Landau shortly after he won an Academy Award. For Ed Wood, and this is written by Troy Beyer. And Troy Beyer would later go on to this is actually the first movie she ever wrote, and this is a film that she's actually worked in Hollywood before. She worked on Disorderlies, the Fat Boys movie from the 80s, which honestly kind of reminds me of what this movie is. This is kind of the equivalent to a movie like Disorderlies, where you have it's mostly African American centered people having to deal with an older white person in a situation. Of course, in that movie, it's the Fat Boys and Ralph Bellamy. This time around, it's Halle Berry, Natalie Dessely, and Martin Landau. And it's a weird movie because when this came out, it was thrashed by critics. It was seen as a major misfire for not only Halle Berry, who was a rising star, but Martin Landau, Robert Townsend. I mean, Robert Townsend this is the guy that made Hollywood Shuffle just 10 years ago, and was still considered a prominent director, even though The Meteor Man was not a big hit. And this, I think, was the last major theatrical release he did before he eventually went over straight to TV or DVD, or TV movie or Disney or DVD movies, I should say. But yeah, I remember seeing this a long time ago, and I rarely remember a thing about it. I didn't think it was all that funny. I didn't think it was all that memorable. And I thought that this was going to be something that was going to be a big blemish on Halle Berry's record. But then again, look at what Halle Berry has done since then. I mean, not only she won an Academy Award and saved her career a little bit, but she's made far worse movies than this. Catwoman, The Call, Kidnap. I mean, there are certainly a lot worse movies than this film. And this film has had a cult following, too. Like, it's amazing how to think that this movie seems very offensive to black people, but at the same time, you look at some of these reviews that have come long after this movie's come out, the film has become a cult classic. I think somebody said that the fact that this film had such a lasting impact proves that the film spoke to its audience. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's something there that I'm missing here. Maybe there's something that there was a lot that was being missed here. I mean, it's a very weird situation here with this film. From what I remember from this movie, I don't remember really liking it all that much, but then again, it's been over 20 years since I've seen this movie. I saw this on video back in the late 90s, so for all I know, maybe I was just too young to really understand what they were trying to go for here. Maybe there's more to this than there actually is. I mean, nobody is really saying that this is one of the greatest movies of all time. This is up there with some of Townsend's other works, but they are saying that it's much better than I think than people are giving it credit for, so I mean, who knows? Maybe that's the case. Maybe I just need to go back and watch it again. Maybe there actually is something there that I'm not seeing there before. But from what I remember from it, I don't remember it being that great. But then again, I saw it when I was about 10 years old. So really, that doesn't really say that if the movie's had some longevity to it or what. But I don't know. Maybe it's worth a rewatch. If I find it somewhere down the road, I might actually check it out again. But as far as I remember from it, I don't remember liking it too much, but I'm open to seeing it again to see if there's more to it that I didn't see before. So that's BAP. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is Cats Don't Dance.
You can do anything.
This spring, Turner Feature Animation introduces you to some new characters you'll love in a story that could only happen in the movies. It's about a cat named Danny. He's got a dream. He's going to Hollywood.
Where the streets are paved with gold.
And he's ready to dance his way to the top. So join Danny.
I guess we're going to be the only two cats on the ark, huh?
Sawyer.
So much for preserving the species.
Tilly.
I hear hippos are very, very big on Broadway.
They're big everywhere, darling.
Wooly. And Pudge.
Uh-oh. I'm busted.
along with all of their incredibly hilarious and entertaining new friends. And Darla Dimple, child star extraordinaire.
I am an angel.
And her faithful assistant, Max.
Yes, Miss Dimple.
But what Danny doesn't know is she's the only star who can keep all his dreams from coming true.
I hate animals! Especially that one! I got a dream in my heart.
With new songs by Grammy Award winners Randy Newman and Natalie Cole. Nothing's gonna stop audiences everywhere from enjoying a brand new world of animated fun, excitement, and adventure.
See you in the movies.
Cats Don't Dance.
Leaves you kind of speechless. Don't it?
So, of course, this is coming after the success of Space Jam, and Warner Brothers had actually just merged with Turner Feature Animation, which is the main studio behind this. They merged with them not too long after Space Jam came out, and so there was a lot of high hopes for many people who saw the trailer for this and thought this could be pretty good. I mean, this is kind of what Warner Brothers has usually done when they find success with one movie. They try to relaunch their animation studios to try to compete with Disney, and we'll delve into what happened afterward. But as far as the movie itself goes, this is a really solid movie all around. I don't think a lot of people really talk about it, and it's unfortunate because there is a lot to admire about the film. The animation is gorgeous and spectacular to look at. It is amazing how Warner Brothers comes so close to capturing a lot of the animation style of Disney that you would swear that this was a movie done by them. But it also gives it its own unique look to it, something like the old school classic cartoons from like MGM and even Warner Brothers themselves, like the old Looney Tunes. You definitely see a lot of that in this movie. It's certainly a hell of a lot better than Quest for Camelot, which they literally ripped off Disney's animation and did nothing else with it. But we'll eventually delve into that one when we get to 98. But the songs by Randy Newman are really good. That opening song, Our Time Has Come, by Kerry Wilson and James Ingram, is probably one of the best underrated movie songs of the last couple of decades. You have a great voice cast that can sing pretty well. Who would have thought that Scott Bakula could sing as well as he does, playing the role of Danny? Jasmine Guy playing Sawyer is very good. She's very solid in the film. And you got Natalie Cole doing her voice, which is actually her singing voice, I should say, which is pretty cool to see. But it also has a great, strong supporting cast. The villain in the movie is great. Darla Dimple is both hilarious and pretty damn threatening too. I always kept thinking of a really young Yzma from Emperor's New Groove when I watched this again. You could tell the animators were having a blast doing the animation for her, because whenever she's on screen, it's chaos and insanity, and it's so amazing to see that. Even her butler Max has a ton of great moments in here, and just it tells you a lot when the legacy of this movie, when they actually parody it in an episode of South Park. They literally parody a scene from Darla's big song sequence in the movie in an episode of South Park, which is pretty amazing when you really think about it. That's how the following has been building and building over the last couple of years. So it seems like a winner here. So why didn't the movie do well? And it's mostly because Warner Brothers didn't really market it all that well. I mean, like I said before, they had just bought up Turner Animation. In fact, a lot of the animators who worked on the film were excited about this movie coming out, and then when they saw that there was hardly any advertising for it, and it bombed big time. It only made $3.5 million off of a $32 million budget because the studio barely marketed the film, and when they did that, it completely ruined any potential excitement this movie had. I didn't even know this movie was coming out until the Space Jam videotape came out a couple weeks prior to this, and I saw the trailer for it, and it's just like, that's coming out soon? Like, what? Also, you got to think about it. A Warner Brothers animated movie from the late 90s that was that wasn't marketed well, but turned out to be a great movie. Now, where have I heard that before? A certain movie about a giant who's iron, directed by one of the guys from The Simpsons. Again, we'll eventually get to that one eventually, but thankfully the movie is finding an audience through VHS, DVD. It's been on Cartoon Network several times. It has garnered a cult following over the years. Maybe not as strong as the Iron Man, but it still is definitely there. I am glad to see that the building up of the audience is really growing for this film, because it is an overall great, underrated animated movie with a lot of great animation, great music, a great voice cast. It's just a ton of fun all around. I really enjoyed this movie a whole lot, and it probably is one of the most underrated animated movies ever made. I mean, it really deserves a lot of more attention than I think it got when it came out. But I'm glad to see that it is building in the years since its release. So I'm happy to see it grow on that level. Cats Don't Dance, great film. So let's go ahead and move on to the last film that we have here, which is Love and Other Catastrophes.
Shit, Sony.
I've mixed in memory.
All existence.
God, I hope not. Well, I'll be off then. Gonna go slit my wrists.
So this is an Australian romantic comedy which features some notable names that you might be familiar with. Frances O'Connor, Radha Mitchell, Alice Gardner, Matthew Dickinski, Matt Day. The film is basically kind of a rom-com, with an ensemble rom-com with these different characters. And as far as the movie itself goes, I don't really know too much about it because I've never seen the film, and I don't really know too much about it. I don't know what kind of a legacy it has, honestly, but I wouldn't be surprised if it has it looks decent enough. I mean, it looks like it's working off of the actors alone and a good concept that it has to it with the story and all that. But once again, I really don't know too much about it. I can't really say if it's any good or not because I haven't seen it, but it was the last movie on the list. I got to throw that in there. So that is Love and Other Catastrophes. So with that said, that wraps up another edition of Time About the Movies. The next time we meet, we'll jump into April with 8 movies, including Val Kilmer and Elizabeth Shue in the movie adaptation of The Saint. We also have Bette Midler and Dennis Farina in That Old Feeling, Jean-Claude Van Damme and Dennis Rodman in the action thriller Double Team, Inventing the Abbots, Anna Karenina, and also the re-release of Wolfgang Petersen's Das Boot, Kevin Smith's follow-up to Mallrats, Chasing Amy, and Childhood's End. So 8 movies to look at next time around. We'll delve into those on the next episode. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and I will see you guys tomorrow for another episode. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time, and until then, as always, take care.